What if Puffin isn't the bird or the human and is the ship?
Fresh and
All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all my buds. And today we are joined once again by one of my faves, if not my fave. It is Dagan White. How you doing, my friend? Welcome back to the show.
I'm doing great. I feel a little frantic with all the last minute prep for London, but I'm sure we'll get into that in a bit. Still don't even have all my plans locked in, but figure it out as we go. So a couple of days, I need to figure out like hotel, whatever. It's fine. I'll deal with it then. So
funny enough, the people at home will be listening to this the day before the Pro Tour. I can rest assured for anybody who's getting a little anxious, we recorded this last week, so not as bad, but hopefully you get your stuff figured out because it's giving me a little agita. So, hey, listen, I think you'll figure it out. You're quick on your feet. So we do got a great episode for you all. The Pro Tour is upon us. We got to talk to Dagan about his thoughts on what are people fearing in this meta and what should be feared. What is a fear that maybe we shouldn't have, and also what it means for the upcoming ProQuest season, really, and beyond. But before that, we do got to catch up, and I got to ask. So if anybody's in the Buzz Discord, every once in a while, Dagan White will just post the most random stuff that it's like Dagan goes on these side quests.
I do.
and I'm glad that you shared them with us. A little while back, you just posted some full size, I think it was a God of War figure, and then also a Wonder Woman one as well.
Right.
I know that you grabbed the God of War one. What was the deal with these? Am I even saying full size figures? That's just how I'm calling it.
I mean, the Kratos is obviously much bigger than I was. It was very cool.
Yeah.
I'm honestly kind of sad I don't have it anymore, but basically there was this local nerd pawn shop, we'll say.
Okay.
Not quite a game store, but they like buy and sell stuff like a pawn shop would. So they got in these giant life-size statues. One was Kratos, one was Wonder Woman from the live-action movie. And they had a moving sale because they're moving locations, and everything in the store was half off. So I roll up and I basically just like, does it apply to these? Can I get these? And they're like, I mean, if you want. All right, deal. So I guess I have this giant Wonder Woman and this giant Kratos. I had it with the intention to flip them, but I figured if I was stuck with them at half off, it's like, whatever, they're cool. That's funny. So that's basically what I did. So
I mean, it was so funny because you posted it and then it just looked like Kratos was just hanging out in your car.
He's huge. The pictures in my car are so funny. Like I couldn't fit any. My car is not very big, and I even just like the legs, you couldn't fit in my entire trunk. So I had the entire length of my car from pretty much like the front of the dashboard to the back of my car was just his legs, and I had his torso in the front seat staring out the window with like an angry face. Looks like you just told him no when he has to go to McDonald's or something. But yeah, it was very funny. It took up my entire car. I think it's huge.
Oh, that's so cool. It's so cool. So you were able to flip them then?
I was, yeah. I had bought them for, what was it, 600? I'd sold them for 1,100 on average between the two of them. So
there you go.
I figured it was worth it. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, that's nice.
I have these giant statues, so whatever. That's cool.
Yeah.
So
see, my like, I don't know if it's a toxic trait or just like this something that's wrong with me. I would have been like, yeah, I'm gonna flip them. Then they would just be in my room for
right
10 years. And
I mean, I thought about that honestly with that Kratos. I was very sad to see that one go. It's super cool.
Yeah, that Kratos was pretty awesome. And just like so funny, especially. Did you have like a sombrero on it at one point?
Yeah, I never intended if I was stuck with them, just dress them up in some nonsense. So I had a giant sombrero, and that thing was also like obnoxiously large. It didn't even fit on his head, basically. But yeah,
Did they have any
And-
other full size statues, or were those the only two?
There was one other available at that location, and it was like a Harley Quinn, but it was kind of small, and the legs didn't fit quite right on the boots, so it looked like a little damaged. So I didn't want to risk it with that one, but
Mm.
I didn't want to be stuck with that one. The other two, it's like that's fine, I'll be stuck with those. But that one, I was like, I don't want this. So, and it's a funny story with that one. The buyer who ended up buying both of them, he's like, "Hey, if you ever happen to stumble upon a life size Jar Jar Binks, let me know." And I'm like, "Sure, dude, you got it." The next day,
No.
at a different store, I was at an armory, and I had mentioned this story to the people that were there, and they're like, "You're not gonna believe this, but the store nearby literally has a Jar Jar Binks in their front window." So
No way.
I'm no shot. I drive over there. I'm like, "Yeah, there it is." He had like a Sith robe on. It made him look like he was a Sith Lord. It was very funny. So I take a picture of it and send it to the dude. And I'm pretty sure he bought that one too. But
No
that's
way.
crazy to me. Yeah, I just thought that was funny. But
I mean, that's like gotta be 1 in a million, right? I mean, I
yeah,
guess
100%.
if this guy's collecting these things, he obviously knows they exist, so he probably
Mhm.
knew it existed. But that is it. Just so happened that you would actually
Right.
see one the next day, which is crazy. And I also gotta say, I love the Sith robes on it,
Mhm.
because I love that theory that Jar Jar
Oh,
Binks
yeah.
was secretly a Sith.
Mhm.
Which, hey, listen, we're not going to rule it out, but I do also have to ask you, because throw in some random stuff, as I said, some side quests. You got a cake with your face on it?
Yeah. So should probably start back in Osaka. I was hanging out with like Elaine, Mo, some other people, and Elaine was like, "We're getting in this photo booth and taking silly group pictures." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So later that trip, she like edits a weird face. Actually, I have a sleeve that somebody made with it as well because it's just kind of become a meme at this point. But it's the Kawaii Dagan. I don't know how you can see this.
Oh
So it's
yeah.
making the sleeves before I even made it back home. So the first armory I show up to, everybody in the armory is playing with these sleeves. It was very funny. Um, but yeah, it was my birthday back in February, and some of the locals surprised me with that image on a full size cake, and that's where that came from. But it was very funny.
I love it. I love it so much. Actually would love to get that image so I can get those sleeves, because that would
I
be a
mean,
lot of
I can
fun.
send you them, yeah, for sure.
Oh man. Yeah, you know what? I love it because to me it shows to the world that, well, you're a beloved figure, which I knew, right? Dagan White. We just need to have your face on everything, including cool ponder tokens.
Yep.
It is awesome. Now we're heading into Pro Tour London, but I do want to step back a minute, take a look back. You just played in the team event in Milwaukee. I think it was
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
Yep.
Yeah, with Mo Bogsley. Unfortunately, I'm
Mhm.
very sorry to hear that. And then you found a third person, because
Mhm.
you guys were in desperate need of a third person. How did it go?
Yeah, so shout out to Chris for filling in. We just put out like a bat signal on, Twitter, Blue Sky, Discord groups, everything. It's like, anybody, can I fill in? Because originally, Mo and Easton was going to be the other teammate from Team Ascent as well. But both of them fell through initially. And then last minute, Mo had a funeral he had to go to in Chicago. And he's like, oh, well, now I can go. I'll just drive up from there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that part worked out. Not as much having to be a funeral, but
Yeah, yeah.
that's how it goes sometimes. And Chris was the third. We were, I think, one win off of top four, if I remember right, something like that. So it worked out pretty well. I was on Aurora, Mo was on Slippy, and then Chris was on Syndra. So 3 aggro players basically, which
Yeah.
is not normally my thing, but that's the world we live in now. So
It's like you were imposing your will, because the thing with team events, and I love team events,
oh yeah, they're a ton of fun.
and and I do want to ask you more about how that one went, but like the thing about team events, sometimes your team just like kind of like really gets into the nitty gritty of like how should we divvy up the decks? How should we do
Yeah.
this? Where should we sit? Like who should be in the middle?
Mhm.
And I kind of like 3 aggro decks, just being
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter. We're just gonna try to win as fast as possible.
Yep.
So that's pretty awesome. So overall, I know there was a lot of hype around this team event. Did it seem to be a huge success as someone with boots on the grounds there?
Yeah, it seemed to be. There was definitely a lot of people there, and I know the ProQuest Plus, as an example, hit cap. So like, not everybody who wanted to play could get in, unfortunately. So there were a few people who were stuck outside of that after the team event. But yeah, it. I didn't watch the stream, but I heard it was a good time. MinMax streamed that as well. So definitely check that out if you want. But yeah, it was a fun event.
Awesome. Well, I hope it means that we're going to get more of them. I mean, I played a Blitz one. There was a Blitz like team calling. Was that what it was in Vegas? I think it was me, Salty Sea Cat. Shout out to Salty Sea Cat and Logan. And I'm pretty sure Anthony was on Data Doll. And this is before Data Doll wasn't even. Yeah. And I was on Levia, so like and then Logan was trying to carry us with Kasai. So it was fun though. You're just like, this is so much fun. And no, I hope more. And it's a good way for even like the teams that we'll be talking about in a bit that do test together to kind of like have this little bonding experience that also could net results as well, which is pretty cool. It was classic constructed. Did you like the classic constructed feel in the team event space?
Yeah, unlike other team events I've played, this one felt a lot more. I don't know if sweaty is the right word, but we weren't really interacting a lot with each other's games unless somebody's done early, which, I mean, it does happen. We're all playing aggro decks. So like there was one game where, well, it's funny because you can't like actually get out of your seat, but you can move with your butt in the seat. I was on one end, and I had to like scoot all the way over to the other side and then kind of coach through the last few turns of a different game. But otherwise, we're pretty much all playing our opponents individually for the most part. But we're kind of just talking trash to each other diagonally, but that's about it. So, so it was a fun time. But
it's pretty neat. I'm excited to see what they have in the future. The dream is team drafts. I love team draft in other games, and I haven't done it in Fab yet, but that would just be so much fun. Especially in a little bit more of a high stakes environment. And you know what else is high stakes? Is the fresh faves. These are the most important questions that I ask you, and if you get them wrong, it's punishable by death, I think. But that's because we're talking about the hunted fresh faves, because we've gotten your other fresh faves in the past. We're hot off of, we're almost at a new set already, which is kind of crazy to think about. But we got to talk about the hunted. From the hunted, Dagan White, who was your favorite hero?
Marionette, for sure. I played it at Calling Memphis, and it's a very fun deck. In a way, it's like an assassin that can play similar to Ira, where you can kind of abuse the passive +1. Like, personally, I never actually wanted to flip. I just wanted to have you marked and then have the +1. But it's interesting. You can kind of play it like a defensive deck if you wanted to, with a bunch of D-reacts, and then kind of push through on hits. It's fun. I don't think it's quite as good as I had hoped, but it is a very fun deck. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I felt like Marionette definitely was like the hot topic there for a little bit, and Syndra to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Syndra seems to have kind of faltered a little bit. I mean, we'll see. We'll talk about
so does Marionette. Like, nobody even talks about it anymore.
Yeah, Marionette still.
Sad, but...
And then, surprisingly, Fangs is the deck that's won something most recently. But that deck's awesome. So, what was your favorite weapon from the hunted?
Weapon. Probably gonna go with Hunter's Clave. I mean, that kind of goes with the same deck, really. It's a cool weapon. You can flick it, and it has like an on-hit effect that's actually relevant. And you can mark them, so you can kind of use it as a combat trick, which is neat. Yeah,
and then with all that retrieve and buyback stuff, it's pretty sweet. It's just, it makes you think. It makes your opponent think so much more, which is pretty neat, especially with that. Yeah. Like I kept forgetting. I was like, how is this attack getting buffed when they would flick.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh,
Yep.
I am marked now, and that is the other part of what this hero does.
Yeah, it makes it hard to block. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and yeah, no, pretty sweet. What equipment was your favorite?
So hot take, I'm gonna go with Bunker Beard. I think that's one of the coolest card names in the game, and it's just such a funny card. I love it.
The card's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
He's got armor for his beard.
yeah.
It's awesome.
I think I was looking at that card the other day too, and I was like, well, obviously it looks cool, right? It just is one of the coolest looking equipment we've ever gotten. And also makes me excited for more kind of like Dwarven stuff.
Yeah.
Because I just love that kind of vibe.
Yep.
But the effect isn't bad, right? Like it turns your I mean it's like it's not good, but like
it's not good. Yeah.
But like it turns your arsenal into a block
Something.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we've played worse equipment before.
I can't think of a lot, but yeah, I'm sure we have.
No, great answer. What was your favorite other card in the set? A card that you would throw into your deck.
So I'm gonna cheat and give 2 cards here. One, Douse and Runeblood, only because it was so short-lived with Viscerai, was such a crazy card. Because during like ProQuest season, that could come in for like 14 value off a Mortared Tide turn, because it would spit out a ton of rune chance. It was crazy. You could just like combo people with that. And unfortunately, it wasn't super explored because it was only alive for like 2 weeks before it died or something like that. But that card was crazy for a minute, and I know everybody else had slept on that. That was something I had learned in Memphis when people were starting to experiment with that a little bit. And yeah, I also adopted that. It's a crazy card sometimes. Hopefully, it sees more play in the future. But and then the second one, I'm gonna go with Trot Along, the generic blue that also has the dwarf on it. It's just such a cool card. Like it's everything you want in a card. It's a blue block 3. It's generic, which already incredible. But then it gives it helps convert your hand when you're stuck with a full hand. It gives you go again, so you can actually use your whole hands. Like I know Florian uses it a lot because it works with Reaping Blades. You can go Reaping Blade something else, or even with Plow Under because it's phase 2 power, which is sweet. That's probably my other favorite card in the set for sure.
Yeah, Trolong's just, I mean, when I saw Florian players playing it for like
sweet.
Plow Under, I was like, oh, man, that's like really neat. And like, it's so cool. It makes you start thinking about what other cards can I do? I was like, I started jamming Trot Along and Rowdy Locals into every deck I was building.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we're going to do it, which is cool.
And the blue block 3s. So
blue block 3s
cool.
can't be bad, right?
Yeah.
Now, are there any updates to what class and talent you would be in the world of Wraith?
It's still definitely Guardian and definitely Ice. I just want everybody else to slow down. I just want to hit you with the hammer. That's it.
Amen to that. Although, you know, we'll get to Jarl. I mean, we talked a little bit before the show. You might not like Jarl as much as you would think. And this is I don't know if I was asking this question yet, but what is your greatest set of all time as it stands right now?
I gotta go
whatever metric. Oh, sorry?
Welcome to Wraith for sure. Yeah. There's a ton of good generics. You get Bravo, which is like one of the coolest characters in the game. Like it's everything. So
yeah, and I mean, I loved that limited environment.
Oh yeah,
so fun, and yeah. Obviously, the great cards that came along with it, which is awesome. Now we gotta look at Pro Tour London, which for those listening is happening right now, or it is tomorrow, and people are going to be squaring up. So the question is, can you say what you're playing? And if not, what are you expecting to see the most of?
So both these answers are probably the same thing. Playing Aurora because it's just the best deck, and I think everybody else is also playing Aurora because it's the best deck. There's no reason to keep a secret. I mean, it's out there, like everybody knows. It's been good for a while. It's just can you do anything about it, really? So I haven't found a way to do it personally that also is good into other stuff, so I'm going to be on Aurora, but I doubt that will change last minute. But I am notoriously good at changing decks like 2 nights before. Like I was on Victor up until Worlds, so then pivoted to Viscerai like 2 days before it after getting my teeth kicked in, so you never know.
stranger things can happen. Absolutely. Aurora is clearly the boogeyman of the format, right?
Mhm.
Very fast, explosive. You can kind of do the combo thing as well, so it has some versatility. Well, what do you think that Aurora is an unhealthy deck for the game right now? Because we've seen other like explosive decks of this ilk, kind of be the top of the meta. Lightning Briar, for example. You know, 5 for a half a second,
Yeah, true.
which is crazy to think now. Uh, and then Zen, of course, we came off of the reign of Zen.
Still limping along.
Still limping along, although at this point, Zen may have LL'd,
True.
right? By the time this comes out, because there is a few tournaments over the weekend that could do it.
Hallelujah, or sorry to hear that, however it ends up.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I don't know how much of an effect that would have. That's actually a great question. Do you think
Mm.
Zen leaving would have much of an effect on the meta?
I don't think so. He's like kind of an aggro deck, but he takes like a turn or two to set up with G. So it's like a little different. He's kind of like Fang in that regard, but he's probably a lot more flexible because he can get Zen State and he can play Wax On, Wax Off, which is also powerful in other aggro decks. But I don't think the format would ever revolve around him. So he's just kind of there. But he's still a good deck for sure.
Yeah. Never revolve it around him again, you should say.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
But so Aurora, how do you feel about a deck like this being the top of the meta going into a pro tour?
I am personally not a fan. I mean, I'm playing it because it's the best deck, but I don't personally enjoy it like a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know it's common knowledge generally to play what you enjoy, but I don't like getting beat up as Bravo at that kind of scale. So I'm gonna be just playing the best aggro deck. And I had played Lightning Briar before. I had gotten arguably my best finish or one of them uh, at top 4 of that nationals. So like I can play aggro decks. It's just not something I would prefer to do.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I understand that. But so the question is
mm,
now, when you look at yourself playing this aggro deck and you expect to see a lot of the same aggro deck,
mhm.
is there anything there that you personally enjoy of like trying to figure out the mirror? Because we've seen a lot of other metas where like some of the mirrors might
Mhm.
not have been so much fun to watch on stream, but some people loved them. Like I know
Yeah.
people who loved Oldham mirrors,
Oh,
right?
I love them. They're so much fun.
Yeah,
I think
you're
it's like
one of
pink
them.
flesh and blood. Yeah.
Yeah. People love that, but I mean, just not to watch,
Sure. I get it.
to play.
Yeah.
I think the Aurora mirror is a little bit different. It's actually very interesting. How do you feel about going into that kind of mirror? Because it could be a game of cat and mouse a little bit.
In a way, there's definitely some areas where you can get small edges here and there, but at the end of the day, the direction LSS has been going with card game design is they're injecting a little more variance into the
Mm-hmm.
game. So, like, who sees more power cards than the other still might overcome any kind of mirror tech potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something you kind of have to keep in mind when dedicating to, I guess, tech spots for the mirror is how much you really want to dedicate to that. Sometimes it can come down to the die roll and tight play. But I mean, at that level, if everybody's playing tight and not making that many mistakes, it can come down to variance, and it's just card games. So,
Yeah,
um,
sure
yeah.
is. Now, Flicker Wisp,
Mhm.
should it be banned? And if not, how many should people be playing at London?
So, hot take, I don't even really like that card,
Okay.
if I'm being honest.
All
I
right.
I think, even when I was trying to come up with, like, weird fatigue guardian decks, I found that half the time Aurora could just kill me without even needing that in the first place. And playing on the Aurora side, every time I draw it and I look at it and it's a lightning or it's not a lightning card and it's a yellow 2 block and I don't have arc lightning, I just look at it and kinda cringe a little bit. I'd rather just be hitting them, you know?
Sure.
I don't know if I mean, it's still a good card, and it's still probably worth some number of slots in your deck to counteract some kind of fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think banning that card would affect the deck, I guess is the gist of it that much. I think there's still many other ways to combat fatigue that don't involve Flicker Wisp,
Yeah,
and that's just another level of variance that's added into the deck. So
yeah, there's a cost to playing that card. Like you just
Mhm.
mentioned it. It's a yellow non-lightning card, right? And that is kind of not what Aurora wants per
Right.
se. So obviously she wants the effect, but that is kind of thing. Now, as the Aurora player going into this weekend, unless you change your mind tonight,
Right.
what do you fear?
The mirrors and losing the die roll. Honestly, uh, most matchups are pretty winnable. I don't think there's any. Actually, that's not entirely true. This kind of goes with like the dark horse conversation as well, to be honest. But Vincent can be pretty scary for Aurora.
Oh
It
yeah.
blocks really well. It still puts out a lot of damage and it has disruption. Like, I mean, if you want to play a deck specifically to target Aurora, that's probably the one. So
Did you ever consider Vincent?
my brain is much too smooth, if I'm being honest. I am notoriously day one Dagan, and that is because my brain kind of peters out, and I don't think I could handle that kind of deck for that long of a time period, if I'm being honest. Vincent players are much smarter than me. I respect you immensely, but that couldn't be me. So,
Yeah, the disruption there is pretty interesting. Now, looking at we have a whole slew of assassins. Those have disruption. They're not a worry though.
no, the problem is most other disruption in the game isn't like consistently disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
So like you'll have CNC, which can be backbreaking, but Cry of Providence gets around the first one or whatever. Or you have like Weakest Link that comes in, and you might not have any no blocks, so you're just like, sure, take 6 and dish out way more. I don't think there's anything in the game that's super consistent at disrupting what you're trying to do, other than discarding cards, and there's not a ton of cards that do that super efficiently. Um, yeah, I haven't figured it out. Um, there might be a solution there, but that was half the reason I wanted to play Bravo initially. Is like, surely all these Spinal Crushes and Crippling Crushes and Starstrucks will do enough. And no, they still have Runeblade armor, so it doesn't work. So
Yeah, yeah. Erase Face.
mhm.
How do you feel about that going into Aurora?
I mean, realistically, the only thing that stops is, I mean, there's fusing, which
Mm-hmm.
half the time you don't do. There's the sword, which most of the time you don't swing because you just have a bunch of 0 for 4s,
Mm-hmm.
or keeping channel. But 2 card 6 is still just like not high enough math. The problem is you'd come into situations where it's like, I'm just going to play my +3 pump, swing 4, lightning press it, and like you don't need
Yeah.
anything for that. So uh, it kind of goes with the rest of them. It's just inconsistent. Like it might work sometimes, but not often enough to feel like it's worth the liability being a red 2 block.
So I mean, this is interesting, Dagan. You do not fear anything except Vincent
I fear Vincent.
and
I fear
and
one
the,
thing.
and the die roll.
Yeah.
Now, what or maybe who should the tournament floor fear? You know, what is the worst situation for the general meta? And I don't mean just Aurora because we know that there's going to be a ton of Aurora players,
Mhm.
but there's also some other decks at the top of the table, right? What would the general top of the meta fear in London? You think? Because you have, I mean, what's the top? Aurora, definitely.
Mhm.
Been seeing some play. We know Verdance is doing well. I mean, there's a,
Yeah, that's
there's a
interesting too.
mishmash of different decks right now.
To me, top 3 are going to be Aurora, Enigma, and New. Not
Okay.
necessarily in that order, but like those are the decks, right? Maybe New, not really there, but it's almost there. So basically, Enigma, Aurora, and like some of the Enigma players have gotten like really good at the Aurora matchup, which is
Mm-hmm.
scary. Like last weekend, I'd actually lost a couple into that, and in theory, it's supposed to be a good matchup for Aurora. But sometimes, if they're very patient and they just wait for you to stumble and then drop all their ores, and you can't clear it that one turn, you just kind of explode. So
Yeah.
I would fear good Enigma players for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a couple weeks ago Florian Christian Logging go to the final. I think had to beat 2 Auroras to eventually lose to an Aurora in the finals. But it's not as favored as it once looked, for
Yeah.
sure. So those are the top three. Is there a common denominator of decks that would kind of prey on that? Is that Vincent?
Uh, maybe. I mean, in theory, Vince has good into those decks, right? I mean,
Yeah.
new is kind of a weird one because they banish all your stuff and you might not be able to play it all.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a super weird matchup. But yeah, maybe. Or if since everybody yet again is disrespecting Kano because everybody's going to try and fight Aurora, maybe they all cut their AB and Kano just blows people up again. I mean, that's always the other option, right? So I know that the other day I was playing on Talishar and I got nuked from Orbit by a couple of Kanos because they're playing like full combo with a card that deals damage and draws 2 cards and just like
Mm-hmm.
churn through their deck because it can't negate all of it and you just die. So that can be kind of scary because sometimes they can kill you in like turn 2. So there's also that if you want some degen Kano gamblers in the room. But
now I gotta ask the next fear for London. Who should fear you, Dagan White?
Everybody on day one.
Okay,
It's probably my answer to that.
So. Listen, I think we're gonna break this curse. I mean, I have to imagine we're gonna have a good day 2, Dagan. You know, again,
I've been working on it. We'll see.
You know, we're gonna get there. And then day 2 Dagan is just like a really cool name. So I'm ready to bust out a new nickname for you almost anytime because there's something about you. I just like giving you nicknames, but I guess we are kind of ignoring one thing. Is there will be drafts in this tournament. How are you feeling about that?
Not great. If I'm being honest. I notoriously love forcing heroes in drafts, and you cannot do that this set, which, better or for worse. That's the situation we're in now. So there's definitely heroes I'd prefer to play and not play. But that's not something I'll probably go super into because I don't want people metagaming me specifically at the table just in case. But I do find that there's a lot more variance in this set when it comes to drafting and playing the games. So I haven't personally cracked it in a way that I feel comfortable, but I don't know if that is going to happen before the Pro Tour, to be honest. But
yeah, I mean that's always the wild card, right? Because you gotta at least pick up some wins in those drafts, right?
Yeah.
You could be perfect on in CC, but the drafts you need to get a little bit, So,
yeah.
I'm excited to see, what players actually, kind of rise to the top there because, limited play is still something that like I think we are not as close to like knowing who the best limited players in the world are as we think.
Sure.
Because it's still a really small sample size. I know there are some great limited players and, they certainly always perform, but I think once we get a little bit more of it, we're going to be able to kind of see that. So, and we'll know who to fear at those draft tables.
Right.
Now, teams wise, which teams, because we've talked about before. This is the big, these top tier events are the big teams coming out parties, right? Come on out and like let's see what you got and how you perform against the other teams. Which teams should be feared? And you're allowed to say your own.
Oh, I mean, I'm absolutely going to say my own. Yeah, Team Ascent is thankfully now on people's radar, at least by team name. I know, like, a significant amount of people were aware of a lot of the players on the team individually, and like respecting them for being good players or something like that. But I think like Mercy's second place finish at Worlds, especially, like really put the Team Ascent name on the map. And there was like Easton top 8ing the previous Worlds as well on Slapdash. So like we're here. We don't necessarily go to like a ton of events, but once we do show up, and we do pretty well. Calling Chicago, we had 2 in top 8. We had both Brian and Easton, both playing Starvo there. So, I mean, yeah, I think as a team we're here, and yeah, I would expect us to do well.
Now, here's a little. Let's get deep into the politics of Team Ascent. Who is the worst player on Team Ascent? Why is it Mo Bogsley?
I was just about to say that. That's crazy. Yeah, it's obviously Mo. There's no argument.
Oh, Mo. I think I think this is two episodes I recorded in a row where I just dig into Mo Boxley. So you know what? We love you, Mo, and you're not listening, so it doesn't even matter.
True.
But if you hear this and you see Mo Boxley, tell him I sent you. But besides Team Ascent, or actually from the perspective of Team Ascent, because you know that is the perspective you have. What are some teams you're not fearing? Because I don't want to make it sound like Team Ascent's fearing any teams, but get your eyes on them.
I mean, I can't speak for anybody else specifically on the team, but we don't really like fear anybody per se. We just kind of show up. We're like, let the cards fall where they may. We're very peaceful, you know. We're not starting beef for no reason. We kind of like test all over the place with some other teams. So I don't know. That's kind of the perception we want as the team as a whole. Is we want to be like good players. We want to put up results, but we also want to make sure we're in the community in a positive light. You know. So I can't imagine you'd see any of us starting beef except for maybe Mo, but he probably deserved it. So
yeah, the beef was probably started with him.
Right.
Yeah, no, I like to hear that. You know, it's all big butt energy over there. Cause,
yeah, for sure.
You know, it's easy to get cutthroat around these kind of competitive events, but it's nice to hear that you guys have that perspective, which is pretty cool. Now, I want to ask about surprises, right? And you alluded to dark horses and stuff like that. What would be, to you, the biggest surprise from the weekend that is also believable?
For me, I think it's probably Verdant's doing well.
Okay.
It also goes with Vincent, really, but Verdant's especially. I've been very surprised at how well some of these Wizard players have been able to adapt that deck into something that's like actually kind of scary. For a deck that in theory doesn't have like any real disruption or anything, their math can be very good, and they still have Storm Striders at the end of the day. So they've been getting pretty creative, and it's been pretty scary. I lost to one in the team event. It was one of my losses was to Verdance. I wasn't prepared for that, but you never know.
Yeah, losing to Verdance feels, I don't want to say worse than losing to like Kano, but like at this point you just know that you've never beaten the Kano until their life hits zero, right?
Oh yeah.
There is this false sense of security that Verdance really kind of like gives you, because you're like, oh, I'm outpacing the life gain. Things are going well. Yeah, whatever. I'll take a few hits of arcane damage here and there, and then they're like, let me just gain a bunch and then amp a bunch and then kill you. And it is disheartening sometimes. But listen, I'm glad that it's a good deck. As much as the decks that I play lose to it. Now, let's look on the other side of the believable, the unbelievable. What would be the biggest surprise that would be unbelievable to you and that you would like to be true?
We have somebody like a Kale show up on Bravo and actually do well with Bravo, even though I don't think it's super good. I don't find it to be super believable because you have, you know, Enigma rising in popularity and Enigma just beats it, and then New can just beat it. It's just not a great day for Bravo. So I wouldn't believe that it would do super well, but I would really hope that it could.
Yeah. It's tough. You know, we're kind of getting to the point now where the Arcane Rising heroes are saying goodbye. They're hitting LL. We got Viserai. Azalea's probably next, unless somebody just does something with Dash IE. And then Kano will eventually get there because Kano just wins random events, right? Yep. But the original four from Welcome to Wraith, your GOAT set, may I remind you, is they're going to be sticking around for a bit. And Bravo probably might have the best chance. Although like Reinhardt just wins random events too. So
I don't know. We just had Dorinthia in the top 8 of the Brazil calling, so you never know.
Oh my god, I forgot. I mean, Dorinthia. Yeah, actually, probably Dorinthia might do it first. I mean, she's gotten arguably the most support and hasn't had any bans like poor Katsu did. But
poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy. All right, now I want to ask, because we covered London, and there's going to be news for London. They're coming out of London, probably with more High Seas stuff. From what you've seen from High Seas, how you feeling about it? Are you excited? Is this something thematically that Dagan White messes with? What's the vibe here?
So the initial impression I got is the Ranger seems to be like it'll be really good,
Mm-hmm.
and we might have another Lexi situation, but we'll have to see. Because even with the existing card pool, she can already do some kind of crazy stuff.
Yes.
Gravy Bones, on the other hand, I mean, he has allies, so surely he can't be terrible.
Really?
So I am very nervous on how that ends up being, but we'll have to see. It's a lot harder to play them, that's for sure. But
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
the mech, I have no thoughts on personally, but
Yeah, the mech I think probably has the most question marks right now. I mean, there's question marks about a lot of it. So here's the question: are they going to tell us what the symbol means? I know that we can probably guess what the symbol means on those cards, but are they going to surprise us with anything? Because it's been noticeably absent from any of the marketing materials and what they've talked about, because they just have this new symbol there, and people aren't freaking out about it as much as they did the chi symbol, I would say.
yeah.
Like I'm here, I'm like, what is it? I think I know what it means, but what does it mean?
I mean, I think that's probably wise. Most people can kind of infer it's probably like a tap or like turn it sideways to like show it's like a once per turn kind of effect or something like that. But I could have sworn, I vaguely remember like that early announcement, something about like the green resource cost or something like that. And I don't remember anything later, but I don't know if that's, yeah. Because back in the initial like High Seas like leak or whatever that was mentioned in it, but I haven't seen it since. So I don't know if that was real or not. But
yeah, I think some of it didn't make sense. Ended up, from what I remember, there was a couple leaks that just like ended up not being real. I think, but
yeah, that's possible.
A lot of hype around the set though. Should be interesting. Gravy Bones would be pretty neat if he's good. Hopefully not like super good, because he does have a kind of a Arclight Sentinel in a way. So I mean, not as brutal,
True.
but should be really interesting. I'm excited. Hopefully some Riptide cards in there somewhere.
He gets a spec every set. I mean, he's gonna get another one.
He better. But just one more legendary blue trap. That's all I want.
Oof.
Well, actually,
those are all really good.
Yeah. Actually, let's downshift them from legendary. I could play 3 copies. There's
he might like actually be really good at that point.
He is good, Dagan. He just loses to some decks, not all of them.
Yeah, just like Bravo.
No, I have that. I mean, I actually haven't played a Bravo matchup because it's always either Jarl or Victor lately.
Right.
But
the better Guardians, yeah.
No. Bravo is still number 1 in your heart for sure. But hey, listen, I'm excited. It should be interesting. I'm going to be probably blown away with whatever they do, because they do it pretty well. At these big events. So I'm excited to see who wins, which is obviously going to be you. And I had the first, exclusive interview with the future winner of the Pro Tour. I just want to put that out there, folks. I beat you to it. Now, we do have listener questions for you, Dagan. The first one comes from Sigma. These come from the Buds Discord. Anybody can join it and ask questions for any of our guests. Sigma asks, when are you LLing -IE?
When we don't have a toxic illusionist, I feel like is the best answer. I like playing the defensive version, and I do know one player specifically that is bringing -IE on a very defensive list, and it is very cool. There are some cool items that actually like put some pressure on Aurora, so it's very interesting. I won't go into it too deeply, because I don't want people to prepare for that person specifically, but it is a very cool deck. It probably won't be me LLing, but this person has a lot of faith that they could do it, so maybe.
Remind me to ask you what the heck that means after.
Yeah, I have to be kind of vague here, but yeah.
Yeah. We also had another question from Sigma, and it was, when will Jarl, and this is a good time to bring up Jarl, and why aren't
Mhm.
you playing Jarl? When will Jarl be set free from the chains of CYB?
Like having to play CYB,
Yeah,
or
having to play it.
I mean, we could just ban it. I mean, that's the easy solution, right? I'd be perfectly happy with that personally, but uh, I don't know. I mean, the real answer is like why I'm not playing it is I just don't think he has a good enough weapon.
Mhm.
The one that came in the deck is just like too awkward. I mean, at the end of the day, nothing's going to compare to Winter's Whale. Like that card is bananas.
Yeah.
But Titan Cyst is like fine. You do get Stalagmite, which is a very good shield. But I find that most of his cards, he lacks, like a lot of other Guardians, a big specialization that
Mhm.
did like a big splashy effect. I mean, he has Oakenold, which is like stolen from
Yeah.
Oldham for some reason, but I think he's lacking one or two major cards, personally. But
Do you
he's
think?
a pretty good deck. He's just not there yet.
Yeah. Do you think that those cards can come in the Guardian Mastery set thing
I
that
mean,
we're
it's
gonna be getting?
possible. Yeah. I mean, we might have gotten him, but it was delayed like a year for some reason. So
Oh yeah. Well, actually, here's a question. Valda. We're getting Valda as an adult
we are.
hero. What do you think about that as a Guardian enjoyer?
Uh, it has me concerned that they didn't buff the HP like the Blitz hero. So I
Uh,
don't know if they found that Valda was very good, or if they just don't want Valda to be very good.
mhm.
It's one of those two things, and it could go either direction. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it's the best way to put it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
Next question comes from William from the Table Pit. Shout out William. Asks, well, I guess 3 in tandem questions. Who, person, not hero, is winning the Pro Tour?
I'm gonna go with teammate Brian Lorenz. He's insane, honestly. Like, he doesn't go to a ton of events, but the ones he does go to, he like always does super well. He's always kind of like right on the bubble of like top eighting most things. He's kind of like how I like to think I am. He's just like a better version of that.
No, no, no.
In testing, like there's always the common denominator of can I pass the Brian check? And if I don't, I get spray bottled and I gotta play better deck. It's basically what it comes down to. So like, all right, I built this cool fatigue pile. I'm gonna try it. Get smacked. Okay, back to square one. Like
Oh boy.
Brian is a he's a monster, honestly. Uh, for such a quiet person, he's very unassuming. You'd never know, but I would be very what's the word? I don't know. Not scared, but nervous if you pair into him. He's a monster.
Oh boy.
He's really good at the game.
Well, you were supposed to answer yourself, but since you didn't,
That's a very close second, of course.
well, the next question comes along with it. Let's say well, actually, you're day 1 Dagan right now. You're not day 2
Yeah,
Dagan yet.
I got a week.
Just wait till we get to day 3 Dagan. But
Oof.
who is winning the calling?
Well, it has to be somebody that didn't make day 2 at Worlds, right? So,
Mo
uh,
Bogsley.
yeah. No, he's gonna. That'll be for the next question. I'm gonna go with Mara if she locks in on Vincent. Might not quite make it there on the Pro Tour, but then calling wins the calling. Easy.
Mara, if you're out there, lock in. You heard it here first. Who is winning the Battle Harden?
So here's where I would say Mo, but he's gonna get second
Yeah.
because he's really good at getting seconds at Battle Hardens. uh, that's a good question. I don't know. Nobody on our team is going to be playing the Battle Harden because we're all going to be winning the other things.
That's
But
true. That's true.
yeah, so I'm going to say Mo's going to get second. That's going to be my answer.
No, nobody on your team's gonna be playing the Battle Harden except Mo Bogsley.
Yeah,
I love to hear it. Holy
he won't
smokes.
actually be there, but
He won't be
he's going to
there?
get second. No, he didn't think it was worth it for him personally, but
Well,
I
yeah,
know
obviously. I mean, he was only gonna get second at the Battle Harden.
exactly. I mean,
Uh,
understandable, but
oh, wait, I think I did know that. I chatted with him not too long ago. Sorry,
if he
Mo.
was, it would be him getting second. So
Yeah, yeah. And then the last question here though comes from Capolo, who asks, when you travel to events, how much time do you spend exploring the place?
So I've definitely made a lot more effort as time has gone on to do more of that. Because like I found that the best results usually come from taking a mental break like a day or two before the event, getting all our prep done beforehand, and then doing um, either just social hangout stuff where you're not intensely using your brain, or exploring the location you're at. Like as an example, in Japan, like a couple days before the event, we all just decided to go to Universal on Halloween because they had a big Halloween event. It was super cool, and we were there all day. We're like, yeah, we're not testing, we're doing this. um, and then we had like one day of testing, and then Mercy gets second. So like, I think that mental reset is huge. So I definitely like showing up early and doing like at least a couple days of like sightseeing or whatever you feel like doing. Um, it also helps you get used to the time zone and everything as well. So I definitely recommend doing that for sure. I'm gonna do a couple days on each end personally, but
Very nice.
that's
Very
my plan.
nice. I will say, when I ran cross country in high school, before big race, the practice before was always like a light run or something like that. So
Yeah.
like, you didn't really, you didn't want to hurt yourself. You need to recharge, and then like eat pasta or whatever the night before. So maybe
Yeah.
eat pasta. Help
I
them.
might fall asleep at the table, but
Yeah, maybe just not too much pasta. But no, that should be cool. London's obviously one of the most famous cities in the world, so I'm sure there's gonna be fun stuff to do there. I hope you have a great time. I hope everybody has a great time just going there. I hope everybody I know gets top 8. And I know that's not possible, but a guy can dream. But I'll be super happy when you're there, Dagan, winning, or second to Brian.
Right, exactly.
But hey, this has been a fun episode as always. Love having you on, Dagan. You're the best. Can you please plug anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, you can find me on I guess I still have an X account, and then Blue Sky under Kadachi1. It's the same username. Um, and then definitely keep an eye out for Team Ascent going to London for sure.
It's gonna be
Big shout out to them.
big shout out to Team Ascent. You can all continue to find me on mostly Blue Sky at freshbudspod.bsky.social. Check out the YouTube. Give the old like, comment, subscribe. What else? Oh, Bud's Discord. Great place to hang out. Check out Fresh Juice, the indie video game podcast I do with my cousin Matt. That's a lot of fun. That's also weekly. And then I don't know if there's any events I'm going to. I'm going to try to make it to the Battle Hardened Hartford. If anybody's going to that, please say hi. I
might be there.
Ooh, what, Dagan?
There's another MetaZoo situation about a little side event game over there, so I might go and play that also. We'll have to see.
Oh my
But
God. You can't stay away. You can't stay away. But hey,
I'm toxic. What can I say?
Yeah. The nicest toxic person I've ever met. But I'm gonna say it right now. Battle Hardened Hartford Levi cosplay is happening in one form or another. Be there, be squared. There'll be pictures online as well. I've owed it to the buds since 500 subs. But listen, I got a lot going on in my life, and it's hard. Cosplaying's hard. You cosplayed.
Yeah.
Now, to end the show, you know what I like to talk about. Well, that's food, of course. What's some food? Last time we had you on, you had dental work, so like that must have been the worst. Right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You couldn't eat like certain foods.
I can actually chew now. It's crazy.
Yeah. What have you been liking to chew, Dagan?
Food, finally. But actually, in Milwaukee, there was this really good Thai place that was right by the convention hall. That was extremely good. I'll be honest, I don't even remember the name of the dish I had, but it was like a peanut and coconut like curry kind of situation. But it was extremely good. And they had some like beef, like a jerky with volcano sauce. That was also extremely good. So yeah, definitely it was. I think I've said Indian food before. This time it's Thai food. So
Nice.
very good.
Nice. And I mean, that's still on the softer side of things, but listen,
It is.
We're gonna. I hope next time you're on, you recommend just chewing ice or something like that.
Just gum.
Yeah. Chewing
Starburst,
gum's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wait, what's your favorite gum of all time? before we say goodbye?
I'm gonna go with juicy fruit for the first 5 seconds.
Okay. All right. All
After
right.
that, it's terrible. But that first 5 seconds.
Yeah. It's like this, and nothing can go wrong from here, and then
Yeah,
it does. Unfortunately, if we had 5 more seconds, we could say hi to Charmer, but we just don't have that much time, folks. But
I see.
everybody enjoy London, and I'm in Scotland right now. Isn't that crazy? Stay fresh. Goodbye.